In the last session, we have talked about like different data cleansing functions, where we have used those cleanse functions in order to perform different types of data cleansing activities. So now, and we have also talked about how to perform what standardization by using what cleanse list. So that's what we discussed in the last session, and plus we have also discussed like how to build reusable graphical functions, reusable cleanse list, and then how to make use of different types of data conversion functions plus mathematical logical functions, right? So we have talked about several data cleansing functions. Now, once we understand that, next step is going to be what we need to start getting into, like how to perform audit trail and delta detection. So that part we have not yet discussed, which means, let us say, if we have processed 20 records in the previous day's business, what if we want to process let's say today with 10 records or whatever. To process that, we need to use what like the records which are modified, records which are new, in order to identify such what records we need to get into what delta detection. So that is what we need to look at now. So which base object we are focusing on? So let us say this is a base object and corresponding staging table is this. This is a base object, corresponding staging table is this. Now we can look at the settings where we have what audit trail and delta detection. So these are the what two important features that we have within the staging layer. So the main goal of this raw concept, let me open this presentation. I repeat, the main goal of raw concept is what to perform the data archival. I repeat, the main goal of raw concept is going to be what? To perform the data archival, right? So that's what is the main goal of raw tables, right? So how do we configure that? So that's where we need to use preserve an audit trail in the raw table for n number of loads, or we can also archive it based on the time, and time will be expressed in terms of hours, days, weeks, months, quarters and years, right? I repeat, time will be expressed in one of the time measuring unit, so we can use appropriate time measuring unit depending upon the type of job that we are going to process. Like there could be some daily jobs or weekly jobs or monthly jobs or quarterly jobs and so on. So depending upon the type of job that we deal with, we can use appropriate time measuring unit to perform the data archival, right? Fine. Now, so let us start getting into what configuration of audit trail based on what two loads. So I repeat, how are we going to what perform the data archival? One, based on the number of loads that we could able to see over here, right? So let us say we are going to configure with what two loads. Then how are we going to perform what? Data archival based on what? Two loads, and then what? Save it. Yeah. So this is what we need to do in order to configure it. So before we configure, there is a separate table where this data will be archived, which is going to be what? A raw table. Can you see here? This is a raw table which is derived from where? Staging. So which means what? Whenever we create a staging table, automatically the corresponding raw table would get created, right? Now let us start getting into this particular vendor ORS in order to what we call look at the existing raw table. Let us log on to vendor ORS, and then if you look at this, what is the staging table? You have stg underscore pharma 1, right? Describe stg underscore pharma 1. Yeah? So we don't have this. What is the physical name of a table? That you will get it over here. Can you see here? So pharma 1, c underscore stg underscore what? Pharma 1. Yeah? C underscore we didn't keep here. Yeah, C underscore, right? Now with this we could able to see what there are different, see, complete table will be created automatically. Yeah? In this we have what? Peak is source object for what? In order to identify primary key for the source system. This is unique ID associated to the each record, and in case deletion happen, all these deleted columns will be effective. This is a staging table, right? Now let us look at another table which is going to be what? Raw table. So this is what we are going to discuss, because staging table part we all know, right? Like what and all we have these columns. These are all what? All system different columns, and these are all what? User different columns, right? Now let us start getting into raw table. What do we have in this? These are all what? The columns that are derived from landing table. What is a landing table over here? So we need to look at what the staging table. Within that you can look at a mapping where we have what? Landing and corresponding what? Staging table, right? So this is a landing table, LND pharma November. So let us look at columns corresponding to landing, because when you say archive, the archive happens based on what? I repeat, when you say archive happens based on what? C LND underscore pharma underscore November. Yeah? So we need to specify November. Yeah? Pharma 1 or pharma? Pharma, right? Yeah. Can you see here? Here we have what? These three columns, which are what? User defined columns, where data will be what kept. This is a landing table, right? And this is a system defined column where we are going to keep what? Last update date and time. Yeah? So that's what we can see here. Yeah? These are all what? User defined columns. Yeah? Now whatever column that we have, single column should exist in the raw table, because we are going to archive the data that we get from the raw table, plus other system columns. For example, this first system column is a row ID job, which will be used in order to what? Identify uniqueness of each job ID. I repeat, row ID job will be used to identify uniqueness of each job run. First time, let us say when you run, you'll have one run ID. Second time when you run, you'll have what? One more run ID. Because every time, let's say that 10 records will have same ID. And next time when you run, every record will have what you call same ID, which means what ID differs as and when we run a number of times, right? Now the next is what we have online indicator flag, which will be used to indicate whether the job, which is this stage job, has been executed in real-time mode or in what batch mode. I repeat, we can use this online indicator flag in order to take care of batch mode or in real-time mode. Yeah, and then we have another system column, which is what peak is source object, which will be used to identify primary key for the source system. Yeah? And last update date is the most recent date where this particular most recent date for each record will be stored. These are all what I would say from here we are going to get it from landing. These are all what system columns. Yeah? This is the important one, and this is basically just to know whether we are executing from batch mode or from real-time mode. That's it. Yeah? Now let us go and look at the data within this raw table. So now you will not have any data in this because just now only we configure, right? After that we did not execute it. That is why you will not have any data in this particular raw table, right? That's it. Now once we look at this raw table where there is no data, right? Now let us try to execute a batch job. Yeah. This one, right? So now let us run this. Any questions? Sure. Yeah, can you see here? Now there are 0 records. Why? We don't have any data here. Is this a mapping we are discussing or something else? There are no records here. Yeah, let us try to look at the data in this landing table. There are 6 records. LND Pharma November, right? What is the mapping here? LND Pharma November. And let us look at STG Pharma November 1. Oh, that is a problem. STG Pharma November. That's what you need to select. This one, right? We have just executed wrong mapping. Yeah? Now let us look at it. Yeah, can you see all records have been rejected because of what feature date issue. So let us change the system date. Yeah, let's execute this again. Yeah, now data will be archived. If you go and look at the data raw table, you can see here. Yeah, now there is a 0. Now let it get executed. That's going on. Yeah, so let's try to refresh. Can you see here? Total records how much? 6 records. So which means 6 records should be archived within the raw table now. Yeah. Why we have still count 0? Can you guess here? Because what is the staging table? STG Pharma 1 November. What is the staging table? STG Pharma 1 November raw. That's what you need to specify. Right? Wrong table is specified. Huh? Constant November raw. So we don't have any records. Huh? So let us look at this. STG, which STG? STG Pharma 1. We configured this. Huh? What is the physical table here? STG Pharma 1. Oh, we configured totally wrong table. Where is our table? STG Pharma. This one. Huh? Oh, this is here. So we need to configure here. 2 loads. Yeah. So we configured wrong table. Yeah. Now let's run this. Yeah. So let us try to refresh. So can you see here? Total 6 records should have been archived now. Yeah. Now we can see all 6 records, right? Now let us look at the data, which is what? Row ID underscore job, which is going to be the important what system column where we are going to store, or where it is going to store what job ID. Can you see here, for every run you will have what? Unique ID, which is 3GG or whatever, right? Now let us try to run second time, because here we configured for what? 2 loads, yeah, which means what? Most or last 2 loads data only will be archived and kept it in separate table, which we call raw table. Yeah. So let us go and run this again. Yeah. Yeah. So we have executed already. Can you see here? You have what? 2 times we executed, right? First run we have GGGR, second time we have GGT whatever. Now next time when we execute again, right, then what happens? First run data will be erased. So you'll have what? Last 2 runs data, this and latest run. Yeah. So that's what you can see over here to perform what? The data archival. Clear? Yeah, it is executed, truncate followed by load. This data is same. Now let us look at the effect of that. Can you see here? First GGR is gone. So we have what? GGT and GGX. There is one more which is added here, which is what? This is the latest run data. This is what? Previous run data. Yeah? So that is what we can see as part of what performing the data archival. Clear? Any questions here? Yeah. So that's it about data archival part. Now let us get into what so which means what? Depending upon number of loads that we configure, right? Only that many number of loads only to be archived. Similarly, we can also focus on what data archival, which is going to be based on what time, which means let us say if we say 1 hour, so how much ever the number of times that we are going to execute, so it is going to archive based on what? That many number of what runs. Yeah? So that is what we could able to see over here. Yeah, fine. So I repeat, how much of the number of times that we are going to execute, it is going to archive based on what that many number of runs. Yeah? Now here, so we can see what let's say if we said days, if we try to execute daily jobs or hourly jobs is not a good option for this. Daily jobs is a good option. Yeah. Similarly, if you have weekly jobs, then go for 1 week or 2 weeks archival. Yeah. So which means what, we should not select this weeks for hourly jobs or whatever, because it is going to generate a lot of archival data in the raw table, which leads to what performance issues. Yeah, fine. So that's about raw table. So other column data, right, which will be derived from where? Landing table, because we are performing the data archival from where? From the landing table. Yeah? So that is what will happen with this particular raw table. Yeah? Fine. So once we do that, next step is going to be what we need to start getting into what like how to perform this delta detection. Yeah, or we look at other column data. Other column data is anyway straightforward, like whatever column data that we are going to get it, we'll have it here. Yeah, let's say C1 column. Can you see here? C1, 1, 1, 1, whatever, exactly same data. Remember, it doesn't take care of duplicacy or whatever. So for example, first run, we have what these records, same copy, we have it, archival, nothing else. Yeah, it doesn't look at what kind of data, all that. Blindly, it is going to what perform the data archival, nothing beyond that. Fine. Any questions here? Yeah, so that's about archival. Similarly, we can see what other columns data. Yeah. Now, let us start taking a look at what other important concept, which is going to be what? Delta detection. Yeah. I repeat, how do you configure the delta detection? Yeah. So to do that, what we have several options like a 1, 2, 3, using which we could able to perform delta detection. So now before that, let us understand like what is a delta detection. Then we'll get into performing practical example. So delta means what? Change. So change will be expressed in terms of what? Modified data, yeah, modified data or new data. I repeat, change will be expressed in terms of what? Modified data or what? New data. Yeah? So that's what we can say with respect to what? Change. Yeah? So there is a question, do we need to disable audit trade? No, it's not required. We can have both. Only thing is just to make it fast, I've just disabled that. We can enable both. There is no issue at all. Yes. Now, so let us start what I was trying to talk concept, right? So change can happen with data which is modified. For example, let's say yesterday we processed some data, today we got it, and then some fields data which is where there is a modification happen. In that case, what modified, what you call, will come in. There could be some records which are new, which have come on today's business. In that case, those records would come under the category of what? New data. That's it. Yeah, fine. These are the things. Now, within this MDM, yeah, especially in the staging layer. So how this delta detection is going to happen? So there are two tables which will be participated to identify what delta changes. One is going to be what PRL table, other is going to be what landing table. So landing is going to be the source data, PRL is going to be the source data only, but previously processed data or previous landing table, right? So previously what you call processed data. So first time when you run, right? Let us say first time when you run, then what happens? Data will be loaded onto the PRL table. So data in the landing table is equal to what PRL table. I repeat, in first time load, you'll have what data in landing table, which is equal to what PRL table. Yeah? Now second load, yeah, second load. Then what happens here? Data in this particular what landing table, yeah, will be compared against with what previously processed data. I repeat, landing table data will be compared against with what previously processed data. Yeah? So which means what every what you call based on like whatever we configure. Let us say we configure based on column 1. So column 1 data of PRL table will be compared against with what column 1 data of landing table. Yeah? So that is what we could able to see with respect to what second load. Yeah, fine. Now next thing is going to be what we need to get into applying this. So there are different ways to perform delta detection. One, for option 1 is what by using all the columns. Can you see here? Detect delta by comparing what all the columns. Yeah. So which means what all columns option, it is not advisable to use because of what if you have, let us say, 10 columns. So let us say we have 10 columns. Each and every column data need to be what compared in order to perform what delta detection. Let's say we have C1, C2, C3, C4 and so on. Yeah, till what C10. Yeah, then let us say landing we have C what we call 1 to C10 column. So for every record, right, what happens? Every column data should be compared here, here, here and so on. C1 with C1, C2 with C2 and so on. So which is going to be a lot of overhead. But in reality, we don't use this unless we deal with what mission critical data, or else we don't use this particular option at all. Yeah? But if there is a need to do that, there is a first option which is going to be what? Detect delta by comparing all the columns and mapping, right? Now second option is going to be what? Detect deltas via what? A date column. Yeah, I repeat, detect deltas via what? A date column, where we could able to see what there are three types of dates. One is going to be what a deleted date, and second is going to be what last update date, and third create date. Yeah, but out of these dates, most widely used option is what? Last update date, which is going to be what? Most recent date. Yeah, so which means what we compare, that's a previous record, what was the date, and then current record, what was the date. If there is a change, it will be processed, or else it will not. Change means what? Latest data should be what? Most recent than compared to previously processed data. Then the data would get processed, or else data would not get processed. So that's what happens with what? Last update date. Similarly, we have what? Create date. For example, every time when you load the data, right, every record will have what? Create date for each record. If that create date will be compared against with the create date of what landing table. If there is a difference, what it will be what processed. If not, it will not. Similarly for delete date. Yeah? So now let us say you don't want date wise or all columns or whatever. Instead, you need to configure based on what our own need or our own user defined columns or based on predefined or system defined columns. To do that, we can what I call configure this particular, let's say C1 or whatever, and then start getting it saved. Yeah? Which means what? Custom or user defined columns. So we are going to use what, like whatever we discussed here, C1 with a C1, which means what? One column, let us say, we are using to compare and start identifying delta. That's what we are trying to do by using what? Delta detection. Fine. So which means what? We use delta detection to identify change. That change can happen. What a change can be identified by using with one of these options. So that's what we are trying to do. So now, so with this problem, we'll take a break. After that, we'll continue with this what like how this delta is going to take place and what kind of data that we have in the PRL table, and then start identifying what? Delta. Yeah? So that is what we are going to look at now after a short break. But before that, if you have any questions, you can ask now. Yeah, if there are no questions, then we'll take a break. So we'll come back another 3-4 minutes.